Hey BC, it's Dave here in Texas, and I thought I'd get on here and enter Joe's contest. He has 100 subs, and the name of his channel is Analog Archive, and I'll leave a link below to his channel in case anybody else wants to enter. And he has 3 pretty easy questions, so just about anybody can enter it. And he has a pretty good channel. He did a Blue Note review here the other day, and I thought it was pretty good, as well as he did a short history on the Blue Note label, and he did a really good job on that as well. And which a couple of his other videos, and you know, he did a 2020 thread, and he's done some other ones, but he likes jazz and blues, and he also, you know, likes pop music too. So I think he's doing really well with his channel so far. But anyway, he's already got 100 viewers, and I'm sure he'd like more. So he's doing this 100 subs contest, and the first question was show a live album that you like a lot. Now, I usually show this album, and is one of my favorite live albums, Genesis Live. I bought this a long time ago when it first came out, and was rather bowled over by it, and I still like it to this day. But I thought I'd show something different this time around, just to be showing something different. I found this one. This isn't the album I was going to show, but I found this one here the other day, and it's a CDR of some live music from Prog Day in '98, and it's a compilation of several progressive bands. And I mostly picked it up for the, it has a selection on here from the Flower Kings, which is a progressive band out of Sweden. Sort of a mixture of Yes and Genesis, sort of, you know, but they have their own sound. And I really don't think they sound like either of those bands actually, but, you know, that's what a lot of people compare them to. There's a song on here by, I'm probably mispronouncing this, but it's called A Pedi Nudi from Italy, Italian band. There's 2 songs on here by Crucible. There's a song on here by Karai Oram from Hungary, and Farlim's Project from Sweden, which kind of combine classical elements with rock elements. And then there's one song on here by Cass from Mexico, which is kind of a symphonic band similar to, you know, Genesis or something like that. So I was real surprised to find it in a you know, thrift store, and like I said, it's just a little selection of live material from that concert, which is held in I think it's North Carolina, which is where they used to hold these things. Yeah, Labor Day weekend, September 5th and 6th at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I don't think they still hold them anymore, but that's where these things used to be held. Always kind of would like to see one of these progressive outdoor concert things, or indoor, whichever it was. But this is the one I was going to show, one of my favorite live albums. I actually had a hard time picking which album I was going to show, and I thought, well, I'd show this one. I bought this a long time ago when it came out, and I was always really intrigued by the cover, and of course by the selection on the back. And it's a 2-record set. One side is live and the other side is studio material, so you got to hear 2 sides of Pink Floyd. I'd sit around and look at the instrumentation on the back of this thing, and then also, you know, the Hypnosis cover. Always thought was really intriguing. And just the song selection alone, you know, and it's got some classic songs on the live portion, like Astronomy Domain or Domain, whichever. Careful with that axe, Eugene, set the controls for the heart of the sun. And Salsa Full of Secrets is on the live side. And then on the studio side, you have Sisyphus, which is a 4-part song. You've got a real nice acoustic song, Grantchester Meadows by Roger Waters, excuse me. And then a very strange piece called Several Species of Furry Animals Gathered Together in a Cave, Grooving with a Pick. And then you've got the Grand Visor's Garden Party and The Narrow Way. But it's a real experimental album, and I kind of think it's one of those albums that, you know, kind of Pink Floyd later on sort of dismissed the album. But for me anyway, not hearing too much experimental music back then, or avant-garde music, this was kind of like a gateway into that sort of thing for me back then, because you've got some really interesting piano passages by Richard Wright on here, sort of, you know, discordant piano music, and you've got all kind of experimentation that they do with various instruments and probably studio trickery as well. But and then the album cover too. I later was reading about this thing, and as you can see, it's like each band member, Dave Gilmour here, and then you've got Roger Waters here, and then further inset right there you've got Nick Mason, and if you go on back you've got Richard Wright way back in the background. But if you go on up into this one little inset here, you're not going to be able to see it. You can if you have the album, but you can see this album right here is what's in the way far in the background, which I think it's either their first or second album, maybe their first, but and it's a really good album too. Then Joe wanted us to show a solo album by some guy that has one of the members that had been in the band, and I chose Dave Mason, which is right here. This is the first Traffic album I bought, which is actually their second release, but it's the first one I picked up. And when he put out a solo album, which is this one here, I picked it up, and it's really good. Real nice songs on it, and it came in this really unique packaging. A friend of mine picked this up first because he was into Traffic too, and I went over to his house one day and he was playing it and showing it to me, and I immediately wanted to get a copy of it as well. But the album cover folds out like this, which I don't know if I can get all in here, but as you can see, it kind of tri-folds out like that, and then here's the inside of it, and the album fits down in this little pocket here. It's on Blue Note Records, I believe, yeah. And then the album itself, I don't buy very many colored albums, but is a nice marbled looking album, which was real unusual for back in the day when this came out, which is, I don't know, in the 70s, 71 or something like that. But yeah, it didn't have the date on here. It was sometime in the 70s, 71, 72 maybe. But yeah, it's a real nice album if you can find a copy. Dave Mason, Alone Together, from Traffic. And then Joe wanted us to show some music that we had picked up right before, you know, the coronavirus, this virus thing, you know, came into our consciousness. And I had shown this before. This is Gil Evans. It's a 2-record set. of Blue Note stuff, and it's got several. It's kind of like a best of Gil Evans material, and it has Art Blakely on it, Paul Chambers, Cannonball Adderley, Steve Lacy, and a bunch of different people like that. Like I said, it's a 2-record set. Gil Evans is generally an arranger, and he did a lot of arrangements for Miles Davis. So yeah, good album. I picked these up too here at the library. Before all this is Arnold Schoenberg's Quartet No. 1 in D minor, Volume 1, and then they also have this one, which is Arnold Schoenberg's Quartet No. 2 F sharp minor, and their quartet or small ensembles for strings. This one has some soprano on it, and the Juilliard String Quartet is the musicians on here. Pretty interesting music. I wasn't too familiar with Schoenberg, but yeah, it's was well worth finding, particularly for what I bought them at the library. Their stuff is generally cheap, and those were in pretty good shape. And then I found this one too for $1 right there. It's the West Coast Pop Art Experimental Band, Volume 2. And generally, some people refer to this as the Silver Room version of it. But if you're into psychedelic music, it's real interesting. I wish I had it. The first cut's a little scratchy, but after you get past that, it's pretty good. If you're into psychedelic music, which I am, in fact, this time of year is generally when I listen to a lot of my psychedelic music. But yeah, really neat album, particularly for what I got it at. So that's what I got for my entry into Joe's contest. I'll leave a link to Joe's channel below, and so if anybody wants to enter, you still have a few days. I think it's sometime after July the 4th that you know, he ends his contest. I think it's a $50 gift certificate. So if anybody wants to enter, and you need to, you know, sub his channel and you know, then enter. I also found this the other day. This is Connie Plank's The Potential for Noise on DVD, and I was happy to find it. Although after I found it, I saw that you can view this online, or I've got like a Roku. I don't know if anybody else has a Roku, but if you've got a Roku, subscribe to the channel, which is free, to the Tubi channel, T-U-B-I, and you can watch this for free off that channel, you know, on your TV. And if you don't have a Roku, you can just go to the Tubi channel online. I'll leave a link below, and you can watch it on there. You know, it's possible if you have some other type of streaming, you know, device, you can probably watch it if you'll just subscribe to that channel. If you go to it online on your computer, you may have to, you know, register, put in your email, and, you know, make a password and all that type of thing. But after you do that, then it's free to watch. Connie Plank was a German guy that is a musician and a producer, and worked with Kraftwerk and Devo's on here, and the German band Neu is on here, along with the British band Ultravox and the Eurythmics, and several other bands. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link below. And then I saw a friend gave me a link to a guy that's on YouTube. He's not particularly a video or a vinyl community member, but he's a musician. I never had heard of him. He's a musician. He plays guitar and maybe some other instruments. And he's also a producer. His name is Rick Beato, B-E-A-T-O. And he sent me this link and he said, hey, check out this guy's albums that he shows. And just like we do here in the vinyl community, he shows a bunch of albums that he likes that are sort of classic albums to him. Mostly, you know, jazz, and he puts in some rock music and some, you know, some singer-songwriter type stuff. But anyway, I thought it was really interesting, and his taste sort of was close to mine now, you know, and he showed a bunch of stuff too that I don't have in my own collection. But, you know, after he got through talking about it, I kind of want to, like, you know, seek it out and buy it. He showed a Pat Metheny album called Rejoicing that I'd like to pick up. And there were several other ones, you know, that he showed. There was some early Miles Davis stuff that he showed. I think one of them was called ESP that I don't have, that I'd kind of like to get. But anyway, I'll leave a link below to that YouTube channel. He showed about 50 albums, so I thought it was really interesting. And he showed enough diversity there so that if, you know, you probably find something on there that you'd like to get. Anyway, his name was Rick Beato, I guess is his name. And I'll leave a link to that below too in case anybody's interested. So anyway, there you go. That's my entry into Joe's channel, which is called Analog Archive. And I'll leave some links, and hope everybody's staying safe. We'll talk to you later.